So now I'm wanting to do a little bit more of STL editing to this. Specifically, I want to add some holes here because let's say I have some really expensive headphones and I really don't want that to go away, so I'm going to screw this to my desk. So let's get the 3D cursor to the very center of that. How would I do that? I'm going to go into edit mode, I'll press 3, I'll select this face, and then I'll use the snapping menu, which is Shift S, and then I'm going to go cursor to selected, because that's going to go to the median point of what is selected. Now we know the 3D cursor is the center of creation in Blender, so I'll press Tab to go into object mode. I'll press Shift A to the add menu, and we're going to go with a cylinder. So I click this cylinder, and I'm going to go with some weird random numbers. Let's go for 1.8 millimeter radius, a depth of 15, and I'm going to rotate this on the Y by 90 degrees. And this is going to be our screw. Now this is not looking very much like a screw. I'm going to press backtick and go view selected to get nice and close to it. I'm going to take this into edit mode. I'll select this face here, and let's create that screw part that opens up. So extrude this out. Let's go by 1.8 once again. I could now press W for my normal selection and press S to just scale that, but that's not exactly precise. Let's bring some precision into this now. We've got CAD transforms. Remember, that's set to our quick favorites. Right click on it, set it to your quick favorite menu, so you can just press Q, CAD transforms, and now it's on. And remember, this is now selected, so we can press S to activate our lovely tool of scaling. I'm going to press space to remove all my snapping up here, and I want face center snapping. I can click it, or I can press Shift F for face center. I'm going to click that face center there, press space once again, then V for vertex snapping, and I'll snap it there. Now the way scaling works in CAD transforms is that it works one-dimensionally, then two-dimensionally, and then three-dimensionally. And to toggle through those, it's Tab. So I'll press Tab once and Tab once again, and now we have it three-dimensionally here. Now I want this to be a radius of, let's say, 3 millimeters. So I'll type in 3, but that's giving me a 300% change. I want this to be in millimeters, so I'll type in mm now, and there we have it. Now it's a 3 millimeter radius coming off there. I'll hit enter, and I'm happy with that. Let's just press E once again and extrude this out. So then when I press tab and go into object mode, I can push that in. So let's press G, then X, and push that in. Now I know that that was X, because remember, top right, this lets me know that that was the X-axis in the global space. Now I'm wanting to use this as a, quote, cutting object. So we need to install some new add-ons here. Head on over to edit mode, then preferences. We're going to go to add-ons, and you're going to type in Bool. You're going to turn on this Bool tool. I already currently have it on. And also look up modifier tools and turn on modifier tools. Now the reason why I'm saying that is I want you to click this screw. In fact, let's press F2 and let's call it the screw. And then shift left click the headphone hook. And now here on the right hand menu, we're going to have this new tool called Edit. And here it has the Bool tool. And the Bool tool is an automatic method of adding something very powerful in Blender, which we'll break down in just a moment, called a modifier. And what we're wanting to do is a brush Boolean. A brush Boolean difference. Now, if you go for auto, that is sort of like baking it. It's making it permanent to the mesh. I want this to be procedural and very powerful, and I'll show you in a moment. So we'll click this, we'll click difference, click it, and all of a sudden we have this lovely hole of this screw. We can click this outside sort of bounding box area of the mesh. I can press G, and then I can move this around, and already I'm sure you can see how powerful this is. But let's explain what on earth has just happened there. First, where's that screw gone? It's disappeared. Here, go to the object properties, go to viewport display, and all it's done is it's changed its display as bounds rather than textured. Let's leave it as bounds because that's how it's nice to have lovely booleans like this. Now I'm going to click the headphone hook, and this is the new panel that I want to show you. It's the modifier properties. You can see here we have this weird thing. What is this? This is a bool modifier, a boolean modifier that is a difference. Now I could click this to be union, and now our screw has been joined to the headphone, or you can go intersect, which is going to basically be like, okay, anything that's inside of the screw, that's what I want. That's not quite what we're wanting. So let's leave that as difference. And I hope that makes sense. Now, all of these lovely modifiers, and there's a lot of them, is you click here, you can see there's a lot of them. Let's interact with one or two more just to show you with the screw. Now I'm going to press G, Z -7 to bring that screw down, and then I'm going to add a modifier, and I want this modifier to be the array modifier. As some of you might know, array modifier basically creates an array of things. So I'll click this on, and now we have this screw that has been arrayed procedurally while it's also being affected by the Bool tool on the headphone hook. I hope that makes sense of what's going on. We want this not to be a relative offset. I want it to be a constant offset, and I'm doing this on purpose because I want to show you that things are about to break. Boom. What on earth is going on? Hey, why is that just broken completely? Let's move this distance in the negative, and you can see it's this array. They've now joining over each other, but when they cross each other, it sort of breaks. And that's because Booleans, by nature, work through sort of the perfect mesh. Mesh shouldn't have holes, and it shouldn't have flipped normals, because the Boolean operation is using those normals and that manifold mesh that's completely closed, to sort of calculate where these holes are going. So I'm going to set this here to -14. I'm happy with that right there. And there's one last thing that I want to show you is if I press G, Y, and move this by 7 millimeters in that direction, this is also called the modifier stack, because you can stack modifiers on top of each other. So we have one array that's creating one screw to be two screws. We can go back in here, do another array, and this time we're going to turn off relative, turn on constant. It breaks. We know what's going on. I'm going to set that to 0 there, but I'm going to move this on the Y in this direction by -14. And now you can see that we have just arrayed, and we have now 4 holes in our mesh. This is completely procedural and technically not real mesh. How do I mean by that? Well, let's select the headphone hook. Let's go into edit mode, and you'll see that the holes aren't there. That is because this modifier is completely non-destructive. And this is an amazingly powerful workflow, and we're just scratching the surface here, and there's so much more to go into in here. But I just wanted to let you know that that's how it is. So just very quickly, I want to explain a little bit more of the Bool tool. I'm going to press Shift right click to bring in the 3D cursor, press Shift A, bring in a cube, and I'll make this cube nice and big, something like so. And now I'm just going to have this cube selected, shift click this lovely bit here, and just show you that I can go into the edit and go difference, and we can cut away. You can do all this lovely motion here. You can have multi-booleans. Boolean to another Boolean is okay. It's when the Booleans are their same mesh, it doesn't work correctly. We can change this by going into the properties and change this to a union, so that is adding it, intersect, that is the bit inside. And you can remove a lovely modifier by clicking this little X, which removes it. We can go here, remove that mesh, we don't need that there. But to export this, we need to apply this change to the mesh. Now, usually with an STL export, this happens automatically. In fact, if we select this, and we go File, and we go Export STL, deciding where it is, here it is, apply modifiers. But I want to show you how to apply modifiers manually, because sometimes you have to do that when things get complicated. So I'll select all this here. I'm going to press Shift D and just move this off to the side. I do this because I like to keep one version that is completely procedural and sort of super flexible. And then over here, we're going to apply everything to this. So you can select both of these and use these 4 buttons here. These buttons come with the modifier tools that we turned on in the add-ons. You can click apply all there, or we can go into each one of these individually, click here, and you want to start from the top and go down. So click here, apply, click here, apply. The shortcut is Control A. And now when I go into the mesh of this one, you'll see that we have 4 screws in there. I can click this, and I'll go here, or I'll click apply all, and then I can just delete this away, and that mesh will actually show those holes this time round. So let's export this away. But before we do that, we should always do the 3D print tool check. So 3D print tool, we'll go check all. This is looking perfect, all zeros. If it isn't zeros, remember I have that video that explains all of it when I first went over the 3D print tool. So here we have it. Let's export this now. File, export, STL. We'll have it there. I'll call it headphone. Make sure that it is selected only and make sure that you have that selected, and we'll export that STL.